Live streaming is a $90 billion industry, and a subset of that pie is content creators who use software to stream. Probably one of the most well-known is StreamYard. Early adopter, feature-rich, cost-effective, and have grown their platform to include an entire suite of features for creators. Recent leadership changes and questions around price have forced people back to the marketplace to see what are their options. In this video, we're going to provide an unbiased comparison of 4 of the major alternatives to StreamYard, and they are Restream, EVMUX, OneStream, and Riverside FM. We'll grade each based on features, functions, ease of use, and price. All your streaming options in one video. Let's go. First, a little background. StreamYard consolidated its existing plans into 3 new ones with all new prices. At the current moment, the plans on screen are what most of us have, right? You've got basic, professional, premium, growth, and business. However, this is a screenshot of the new plans and unofficial prices. Core, the old basic / essential plan, now costing $45 per month. Advanced, the old professional plan, now costing $90 per month. And Teams, the old business plan, costing $300 per month. Some of you might be asking, why do you say unofficial? Because at the time I'm releasing this video, they've made no official announcement. In fact, this screenshot I'm sharing is from customers who have received the new pricing in an official email from StreamYard, but I can't currently find those prices anywhere publicly, hence the unofficially official. With that context, let's take a look at our options, starting with Riverside. And on screen right now, we have some of Riverside's pricing. This is, they've got their free plan, the standard plan, pro plan, and business plans. And I'll just share that you'll see right at the bottom of the standard plan that there's a checkbox next to Live Studio. And it is an additional $10 a month on the standard plan. However, on the pro plan, the Live Studio is included currently. I don't know if that's a promotional thing, because the Live Studio from Riverside is very new. And so we'll take a look at some of those functions and features in their platform. On screen right now, you're actually seeing Riverside Studio. This is what I use to record some of my podcasts. Their bread and butter has always been recording locally and uploading it to Riverside, and then giving you a very robust, feature-rich video editing experience that you can then use to publish those videos later. We're talking captions, we're talking smart clips like Opus. There's all kinds of different functionality, even up to looking like Descript in terms of its editor. So definitely some things to look at. But for my StreamYard folks, what you're going to want to see is, what does the studio look like? And I've got the studio right here. I've got 2 of my cameras in there right now. And what I want to showcase is, of course, you see my background. That's my background. And so you can do that. You can see the cameras right now, and you can see that. This is what it would look like to somebody who's watching you if you were live with Riverside. When you go up to the top here, you have this wheel. And similar to StreamYard, when you click that, you will get some settings. And your settings, you can change your audio and your video. You can turn on echo cancellation. You can mirror your video. You can see some things there. You can even change some stuff for your guest. We can go to live stream, and you see some of the destinations that are available, up to and including custom RTMP. You can change your resolution, and depending on what plan you have, you can hide the watermark, and you can enable what they call the Omni Chat. Recording, of course, as I mentioned, this is their bread and butter. So if you're wondering, can I record with this? Or do I only have to go live? You can definitely do that. And they've got some really robust recording features. As I mentioned, this is where they really shine. In terms of design, you have the logo, which I've uploaded. Then if you click on customize, it's going to take you actually to another segment of the studio, the live studio for Riverside, and that is the brand tab. Sound familiar? For my StreamYarders out there, you know the brand tab well. And so in the brand tab, we can change our location for our logo, a fairly small logo, but about the same size as it was in StreamYard. Then you have the background that's there, and I can select different backgrounds just by clicking here. But I can also change my theme to different ones that Riverside has built in, which is good. But I want you to know that if you don't click custom, you actually cannot select your own theme, your own background, I should say. You can change the names, styles, and you can see that those are changing as I'm changing them there. And then you also have these two formats. One is called fit and the other is called fill. So fill is kind of your cropped format, and then fit is kind of that standard 2-person format. But those are the only formats, those are the only layouts that this particular platform has. It's basic, but it does get the job done for those that are just looking for exactly that. You have some ways to bring text on screen, not quite a ticker, but this is kind of like comparable to the banners feature in StreamYard. Then you have media. You can play music, all right? You can play music, and they have some built-in sound effects that are there. I have my intro and outro for my podcast. You can also play video, but video plays like this. And you do have to make sure that you have it set to live. And so I'm going to pause it, because this is exactly how video plays in Riverside. That's how it would look to your audience, which isn't exactly what we are used to, and definitely something you want to be mindful of. I'm going to play some background music, which it does play in the background, and you can control the level of the sound, and you can actually change it to where if you want it to loop or not. So those are some of the functions and features of Riverside's live studio. Now let's see how they passed the test. How did we grade them? Well, listen, I have to say Riverside is probably the most basic of the bunch, lacking in a number of streaming features and functions. And their comparable Pro plan plus live studio is about $34. So yeah, there were times as I was navigating through it that I was a bit lost in the user interface, in the UI. And so I believe that regular StreamYard users may struggle with this one. And I do also have to share that Riverside is very new to this arena. And so they are very much still playing catch up to some of their competitors that we will look at in today's video. We gave Riverside fair in features, functions, and ease of use. It is still fairly easy to use, but in terms of the features and functions, I felt like a lot of things actually were lacking in terms of what people have become very used to from their web-based browsers. But I do believe that their price is fair. You're gonna hear me say this multiple times throughout the video. Every price that I share with you is based on current prices as of September 2024. These are the prices. Those prices are subject to change at any time, even though we know StreamYard is making some changes. What does that mean for the others? Keep that in mind. Maybe they may follow suit. So even as you're looking at some of these options, you may want to talk with somebody and see if there's a price hike in the future. Okay, next up is OneStream Live, and we definitely want to showcase what their prices are as well. You got the free plan, basic plan, standard plan, and professional plan. But I wanted to kind of kick the tires with you, if you will, so that you can kind of take a peek at what this platform looks like. And so here we're actually in the studio. This is OneStream Live. Can you schedule? Yes. Can you share your screen? Yes. Can you add additional cameras? The answer is yes. You can do virtual backgrounds. You can bring in guests. I can invite a guest over here. I can add multiple destinations. I can stream. I can utilize 1080p. I can utilize 720. They have a design tab here. And this has some things that, the naming is different, but very familiar to what we're used to. I've actually got the bubble style selected, but the casual one we're also used to, rounded we're used to. This one is a little bit different than what we usually get from StreamYard, but this is definitely what we're used to. Name and title. You can actually show your title there. If you're, let's say video coach or whatever, you want to put that second line in, you can do that. You have the ability to do logos, You have the ability to do full backgrounds if you have a plan, not the free plan, but if you have a regular plan, you can do video backgrounds as well. So there's a lot of robust things that you can do there. Overlays, the way that we know them, in terms of some of them being transparent, some of them being just full graphic. Overlays, as we know them, you can utilize overlays in OneStream. So this is what the design tab looks like. Banners, very similar to what we are used to. You have that kind of a banner. You can also add another banner if you have the full version. Apparently, you can't add any additional banners with the free version, which is interesting. You do have the ability to do tickers as well, and you can see that ticker coming across the bottom of the screen. I actually like the speed of this one a little bit better than what we get from StreamYard. You have live chat, you have pinned chat, and you have private chat. So there's 3 different ones there. Private chat, of course, being between you and the guest that you have in studio. Then you have media. So this is meant for your intro, your outro. If there's different videos that you want to play, there are some stock ones that are there. Of course, I can't upload any because I am on the free plan. Then, of course, this is one that a lot of people have been utilizing from several platforms. StreamYard hasn't really dived deep into this at all, and that is live sales. And so they've got some functions and features and control that you can utilize for live shopping on the platform, which I thought was absolutely awesome. So that's some of the things that some of the things that you can do there. That's the way that it looks, and I think you can collapse that so you have a bigger backdrop or a program window to look into. You can bring in guests and have these different layouts, and the layouts will open up depending on how many guests you have in studio. So kind of responsive, if you will. So there's so many different little things that you can do with this one. I've been playing with it, and I'll make sure to leave a link in the description to a good friend, DJ Strick, who actually does a good amount of work with OneStream Live. So how did they score? Let's take a look. So OneStream Live it's established, but it's one of the newer platforms, and it seems to check all of the boxes, at least thus far. Yeah, it checks all the boxes. I mean, if you watch that quick little overview of OneStream Live, you should have been able to see yourself there, see your StreamYard regular things there. It's very much based on what we're used to from that platform. A couple of things that it isn't quite readily apparent that you can stream a pre-recorded video as well. But yes, it checks all of the boxes in terms of comparable functions and features to StreamYard. It wasn't complicated. It seemed fairly easy to pick up and navigate, and their pro plan is $39, which seems pretty standard and competitive. And so we gave them good across the board. We gave them even a little bit more on ease of use because it was fairly intuitive, especially for those that are making that transition from StreamYard. And we thought the price, again, was competitive, not necessarily cheap, but competitive to what we have seen. The reason why I didn't give them any more on price is because their free plan really lacks when you compare it to some of the other free plans that are out there. Next up on our list is EVMUX. How they can differentiate between those 2 tiers, I'm not certain, but for individuals, free, basic, and pro, and maybe for organizations and businesses, you have basic and professional. And so you can see the pricing that is there. On the screen right now, this is the EVMUX dashboard. And one of the major differences, and it does seem to trip people up, is that while you do have reusable studios, they're not called studios, they're called sessions. And then you have your companies or brands, right? So I have under this side here, how it all works. I have composition, I have live booster. These are some of what they call projects. I shouldn't say companies or brands. These are projects, but I equate them to companies. And then underneath that company, I can have some different shows, right? Different shows, and each show has a studio, and the assets that you have in each one of those studios stays there, so that, as you go back in there, you can reuse it and reuse it and reuse it. And what is also really cool is that you can actually assign speakers to particular shows. If you have guests that are regular, guests that, maybe you're having a one-off, but maybe you might have them again, you can assign them to the different shows. All of that stuff is done outside of the studio, which I thought is very interesting. And it is definitely one of those it's a value add, but it can get a little more confusing. And so one of the differentiators I want to say about EVMUX, when we talk about comparing it to StreamYard, is that EVMUX is made with the remote producer like me in mind. So I would bring clients in, I'd have this dashboard, I have the different companies or projects, I'd have the different shows for each one of those projects or companies, and then we would just go from there. It really does make sense when you put it in those terminology, but for many of us who use StreamYard, making that transition, you are going to be using it just the way that you did. And so you probably just have some team members, but you don't necessarily have companies, projects, and it's only a handful of us have actual reusable studios so far. So those are some of the pieces to be mindful of. But I will say EVMUX is probably very high up on my list, very close to tier 3 streaming platform. You can do all of the things that we can do in StreamYard in the dynamic scene. In fact, this dynamic scene here is your comparative point for StreamYarders. Pro scenes is where you kind of get into some other things that you can kind of design out your show. And you're going to see that in Restream as well. You'll see that in some of the tier 3 platforms like OBS and Ecamm and EVMUX as well. But pro scenes is where you can kind of design out the different things and just kind of go from one scene to the next. I love the fact that you can turn on studio mode, which allows you kind of a preview and program type of thing. So you can edit your stuff here, change things, move them around, and then hit the transition to publish it to what people are seeing. This over here would be what the end users are seeing. If you've been in broadcast at all for any portion of time, you know that that's actually how it's supposed to work. People aren't supposed to be able to see the changes that you're making live. And so this is kind of one of those, we're taking you to another level type options as well. But like I mentioned, they have the ability to turn it off and turn it on. And I think that's a major theme for EVMUX, is that you will always have the ability to turn off some of that, robust pro advanced level functionality and just use it just the way that you did with StreamYard's. So it's a very comparable platform where that's concerned. We've got overlays. I can show an overlay and that takes over the screen. I do like the fact that it gives you a large preview. You've got different backgrounds. You can see the one that we have there. I can change the background there as well. Then you do also have some video clips, and they play a lot better than the others. And it does play full screen and then comes back to whatever is behind it, similar to what you would have in StreamYard. And then you have the ability to put your logo on there as well. Another thing that I really like about this one is that everything is customizable, kind of like, you have your custom layouts in StreamYard where you can kind of make the videos whatever size you want. Then you also have the different layers and things like that, which I think is absolutely amazing. We do have some background music that we can play, which I think is actually really great. And you can actually string together a list of those, so you can actually just kind of have that continuously playing in the background. You can set your audio level for that depending on where you want it for your stream. Comments, there's a sample comment in here. I'm just going to pull that up, but I want to tell you, man, there's so much that you can do with comments. You can make it really simple, or you can design them however you want. So again, it's that same idea that we have all this functionality, but we also have this, get started quick scenario that you can actually use and have it work for you fairly simply. And so you can see what the banner looks like there as well. EVMUX also has the ability to connect multiple cameras. I've actually connected 2 in the studio here. So these 2 are connected using just this one instance. I didn't open up any other tabs or any other pages or any other like an incognito browser or anything like that. I'm not connected on my laptop behind me. This is all right here from this particular instance of EVMUX, but I can still, even with 2 added, I can still add an additional camera. So if I go down here and decide, okay, let me add my actual CamLink camera, I can add that. And now I've got a 3rd camera, all of them connected through the browser to EVMUX. EVMUX gives you the ability to add 3 cameras, whereas I think StreamYard only gave you the one that you selected when you came in, and then a second one. So again, really great stuff that you're going to get from EVMUX. Let's see how they scored. EVMUX is one of those that I definitely want to make sure we get a chance to highlight, because I do think it's one that is going to be comparable for StreamYarders. I think it's one that many people are going to be considering strongly. And I'm going to have affiliate links for all of these platforms in the first comment below the video. So if you're interested in giving them all a try, getting a 15-day trial, and maybe even going forward from there, definitely check it out. My EVMUX link will be there. My Riverside FM link will be there. My OneStream live link will be there. And of course, when we get to it, the Restream link will be there as well. EVMUX out of these four is probably the closest to my streaming platform of choice, which is Ecamm Live Pro. I'll share a little bit more about that later. But EVMUX gives you the most functions and features with a widget marketplace, like web sources. There are layers, there's proseams, they've got studio mode with preview and publish, and a lot of granular controls. And I've got to say, one of the most unique guest experience I've ever seen in a web-based streaming platform. Their pro plan is $39, making this a natural choice for those who want to meet and or exceed what they had from StreamYard. Ease of use on this will vary from person to person, and so you'll see that we graded them fairly low where ease of use is concerned. Price, features, and functions, probably some of the best that we will look at today. But we're not done yet. We still have one last one, and that is Restream. Restream is probably the longest standing platform in this marketplace. In fact, they are even older than StreamYard, because their bread and butter originally was taking your stream and then distributing it to the different platforms. They didn't have a studio when they first started. They were really known for distributing your stream to multiple destinations. After StreamYard came to the market, Restream quickly added a live studio component as well. And that browser-based studio is what we're going to be looking at today. And that's actually what our pricing is based on. And you got to understand that when you have a Restream account, you have access to the live studio, but you also have the access to do those multiple destinations like I mentioned before. So there's a little, when you look at that $39 price for the pro plan, you're getting a little more because you have the ability to do some additional things there. And so let's take a look at what the Restream studio desktop looks like, I should say dashboard. You can schedule an event, you can upload and stream videos, really critical there, that you can record video and audio. So those questions are answered almost right off the bat as soon as you get in here. This is what the live studio looks like. Again, very similar to StreamYard, and they've actually started to incorporate some functionality from EVMUX as well. Now having added some of the scenes functionality on this other side, that was something that's fairly new to me. I haven't seen that in Restream before. So Restream really making a go of it. But I will say, out of all of the platforms, Restream is probably the closest mirror to StreamYard that we've seen. I mean, it's literally the same. You have, instead of brand, you have design, but you also have your tab here to be able to control some of the guests' information, their audio. You can change their name. You can add them to the screen or take them off just by doing that there. You have this folder option. And so instead of the, different brand folders, you actually can open up this and make different folders based on, the different shows that you're using. That's very similar. Overlays are here. We can put a full overlay on screen, hide that. If I just had one person on screen, let's do that real quick. Take one off, put the other on, and we'll make that person full screen. And then I can actually put this overlay on. And so you have the ability to do that and in your system, in your setup as well. I'm gonna put this other camera back on. Very similar to StreamYard, as I mentioned before. Captions is what would be called banners. And so you can put your banners here. You have one banner there, or you can have the different tickers, and it's in a different section at the bottom, and they all are going to correspond with whatever colors and branding you've selected. So that's pretty cool as well. QR codes is something that we do not have from any of the other platforms. I use this for live shopping, and it is clutch. So definitely wanted to make sure you guys are aware of that. You do have some music that you can play here. I think Restream was probably one of the first to really add music, and you can play it, you can add it, and drop it into the background in terms of its volume level, and then you can stop it and just kind of go about your day, go about what you wanted to do. They've added this other feature of notes. I used to use the banners section of StreamYard for my notes to kind of walk me through the show. I'd almost have my whole run sheet there, but I love the fact that Restream has added this notes feature here. And then of course you have the ability to chat. You can see all the chats coming in from everywhere, or you can chat with those who are in the studio with you. So, I mean, literally the functionality here is so similar. You can do your screen share in terms of you want to share your desktop or, you know, a website or something else that you're streaming. You can invite guests. There's so many different things: presentations, video share, images, extra camera, just like some of the other platforms. There's just so many different things that Restream has packed into this browser-based studio, and I think it's definitely one of the ones that I actually didn't think I would recommend it as the top recommendation, but literally because of all that they have done and all that they've added and its closeness to what we're used to from StreamYard, I am saying this is probably one of the top ones to consider for those of you who are back in the marketplace. And you'll see right across the board how we've graded it. Restream has a rich variety of features and functions that is the closest mirror to StreamYard, in my opinion. Plus some other ones like scenes, playlists, and QR codes that allow you some additional options. They do it in a simple way, and that Pro plan price of $39 is very, very competitive when you consider they're actually providing you other functionality to be able to restream your content from other streaming platforms to your destinations, which other platforms have no answer for. I want to say this: all the prices shared as of the time of this video are subject to change, and so don't hold me to it. I'm simply sharing what I could find easily on the websites for each one of these software platforms. These streaming platforms are what I like to call tier 2, meaning they're web-based, accessed through an internet browser, and not locally installed. I personally use a tier 3 locally installed Mac-only streaming platform, Ecamm Live Pro, which goes for $40 per month and or $382 if you decide to purchase it annually. Best money I've ever spent, I'll tell you right now. And in my next video, I'll share the ultimate guide to transitioning from StreamYard or any web-based platform to Ecamm Live. Subscribe to be notified. If you're wanting to keep a foot in the StreamYard world, consider maximizing their free plan. In this video right here, I share in depth what the free plan includes and the ways to augment it to really make it work. It has its limitations, but it might be worth a try. Click right here to watch, and I'll see you over there. Grace and peace, fam.